The most important night of my life was also the one where my mother decided to destroy me. Not quietly, not privately, but in the middle of a ballroom filled with 320 people, executives, philanthropists, press, and every person whose respect I'd spent a decade earning. I was standing at the podium of the Sterling Foundation Gala, spotlights warming the edges of my vision, applause still echoing after the announcer said my name. Recipient of the Innovator's Impact Award, Dr. Alara Quinn. Me. The girl who once studied under flickering street lamps because the power bill hadn't been paid. The girl who clawed her way into biomedical engineering and built a device that saved premature infants. The girl whose parents said her career was cute compared to her brother's real accomplishments. I should have been floating. Instead, I watched my mother stand up from her VIP table, champagne flute in hand, and walk straight toward the stage like she owned the entire night. I froze, every camera pivoted toward her. She didn't take the mic. She didn't need to. She just looked right at me, her own daughter, and said loudly enough for every live stream to capture it. "You should give this award to your brother. He deserved it more. You've always been a taker, Alara." A ripple passed through the ballroom, a sound made of gasps, whispers, disbelief. My heart didn't drop. It detonated. My father remained seated, jaw clenched, refusing to intervene. My older brother, Caden, the golden child, the future surgeon, the heir to their legacy, watched with an expression I couldn't decipher. Not shock, not anger, satisfaction. The silence that followed her words stretched into eternity. I heard someone's glass clink against a plate. I heard the photographer lower their camera. I heard my own breath break. My mother continued, voice coated in sugar. "You stole opportunities meant for him. We all know it. Tonight shouldn't be about you." It was the moment every childhood wound, every minimization, every stolen celebration, every dismissed accomplishment crystallized into one brutal truth. She didn't hate my choices. She hated that I succeeded without her permission. I felt the crowd's eyes push against my skin like heat, waiting, expecting the studious, obedient daughter to fold, apologize, retreat like she always did. But something inside me, some buried, welded-shut piece, snapped clean open. I stepped toward her, just 1 inch, but it felt like stepping out of a grave. "Mom," I said, voice steady. "Sit down." Her eyebrows shot up. "Excuse me, for once in your life," I added, "let me speak." A collective inhale passed through the room, but before I could finish, the award ceremony coordinator gently touched my arm. "Dr. Quinn, maybe we should take a short break." "No," I said louder, "we're not taking a break." My gaze locked onto my mother's, not pleading, not breaking, revealing. "This isn't your night," I said. And it never was. Even the chandeliers seemed to tremble. Her face paled, not with humiliation, but fury. And in that moment, with the spotlight harsh on both of us, with every person in the room watching a lifetime of poison dynamics finally rupture, I learned a truth far more important than any award. My mother didn't want me to fail. She needed me to fail, because my success exposed everything she wasn't. The coordinator ushered her away. My father finally stood, grabbing her arm. Caden didn't move, just watched me with that unreadable expression. I didn't finish my acceptance speech. I walked off the stage, out of the ballroom, out of my old life, and into the storm I had unknowingly been preparing for my entire life. I grew up in a stone-gray house on Alderbrook Lane, a place people described as admirable, disciplined, the home of achievers. Teachers used to say my family was a local dynasty, 2 doctors, 2 high-performing children, a reputation built on excellence. They didn't know what excellence cost inside our walls. My mother, Dr. Selene Quinn, believed children were extensions of a public image, and she sculpted those images with scalpel precision. Caden, my older brother by 4 years, was her masterpiece. Perfect test scores, perfect posture, perfect charm. She photographed him at every award ceremony, posted his accomplishments online, curated his resume before he turned 13. And me, I was the afterthought that accidentally overshadowed the masterpiece. It started early. When I learned to read at 3, she said it was luck. When I won the district science fair at 8, she said, "Don't get arrogant." When my teachers recommended advanced placement, she said, "It'll upset your brother." The first time I saw her proud of me was when a church lady told her, "Your daughter is so polite." Polite. Silent, compliant. That was all she wanted from me. Dad was quiet or cruelty. His approval was a currency you couldn't earn, only inherit. And since Cadden inherited everything, I existed in the shadow of someone who didn't even need what I was working myself raw to earn. But the moment my interests drifted from the family script, from medicine, from surgery, from the Quinn legacy, my mother decided I was defective. Biomedical engineering fascinated me. Designing technology that could save children instead of cutting them open appealed to everything inside me. But to her, it was rebellion, a waste, a betrayal, a personal insult. "You're running away from real responsibility," she said when I got my MIT acceptance letter. "You're running from me," I wanted to respond, but I didn't, because children trained in our home learned early that truth was dangerous, especially if it contradicted the narrative. The cracks widened when my research gained traction, when investors stepped in, when the neonatal device prototype worked, when universities started calling me instead of Cadden. My mother smiled in public, but behind closed doors she became someone sharp-edged and venom-filled. "You think you're better than your family? You're stealing attention from your brother. Don't embarrass us with your career choices." And Cadden, he didn't say a word. Silence was his loyalty, and his loyalty was always to her. When renowned journals published my work, my mother spent dinner talking about a paper Cadden co-authored. When I saved a hospital millions in premature infant care, she said, "If you were truly committed to healing, you'd be in the operating room, not tinkering with gadgets." When I won national recognition for my device, she posted a photo of Cadden's white coat ceremony with the caption, "My pride, just 2 words." A sentence that carved itself into my memory. By the time the Sterling Gala rolled around, I should have known she wouldn't let me have that night. But a small, foolish part of me had still hoped. Hoped she would see me. Hoped she would choose me. Hoped love could be shared. Instead, she showed the world exactly what she'd always whispered behind closed doors, that in her eyes I was never meant to shine. I was meant to reflect. And reflect only her chosen son. After the gala meltdown, I didn't go home. I didn't go anywhere familiar. I walked through downtown like a ghost trailing broken glass, replaying every moment of that night in dizzying loops. The velvet red carpet, the applause, the lights, the sudden shift as her voice sliced through everything I had built. "You've always been a taker, Alara, taker. From the woman who used my scholarships to save money. From the woman who let me tutor Cadden for free while he took credit for my work. From the woman who used my research to boost her reputation in hospital circles. From the woman who had taken my childhood, my confidence, my sense of worth, piece by piece." The word echoed in my ribs like a bruise each time I breathed. When my phone buzzed, 16 missed calls from her, 5 from Dad, 3 from Cadden, I powered it off. For once, I didn't care what they wanted. When I finally returned to my apartment at sunrise, the city looked washed clean. Pink light touched the buildings, soft and forgiving. I felt like stone. My reflection in the elevator mirror startled me. Mascara streaks, hair tangled, shoulders trembling, not from sadness, from realization. Realization that I had spent 30 years trying to earn the approval of people who needed me small to feel big. Realization that love had been dangled like a carrot in front of me, always one accomplishment out of reach. Realization that the only reason I was still standing was because I had learned to survive invisibility. But surviving is not the same as living. That morning, I sat on my couch, staring at the award still clutched in my hand. The glass plaque was cracked, probably from where my fingers tightened around it at some point. A metaphor too obvious to ignore. Then I heard a knock, not gentle, not hesitant, deliberate. I didn't move at first. But the knocks came again, 3 sharp, heavy strikes. With dread coiling in my stomach, I opened the door. Cadden stood there, perfect hair, perfect posture, perfect disappointment. "Alara," he said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. "We need to talk." I locked the door behind him. "About what?" He turned to me slowly, lips pressed into a line. "You owe Mom an apology." Something in me fractured audibly. "I owe her?" "She was humiliated," he said. "People were filming, donors were there. You could have ruined our entire family's standing." "Our family's standing?" I repeated. "What about what she did to me, or does that not matter?" "She was emotional," he said simply. "You provoked her." I actually laughed. A sound sharp enough to cut skin. "Provoked her," I whispered. "By winning, by succeeding, by not existing in your shadow anymore?" He flinched, but only barely. Then he said the sentence that ended any illusion of sibling loyalty I had clung to. "You should have handed the award to me. She was right about that." My chest tightened. So there it was, not jealousy. Entitlement. Entitlement so deep he genuinely believed my work, my 10 years of blood and sweat, belonged to him because our mother said so. "You're unbelievable," I said. "I'm the one with the medical future," he replied, voice cold. "You're just an engineer. An engineer who saved infants' lives." "A niche gadget," he said with a smirk. "You think that compares to surgery? There are moments in life when clarity hits all at once. Like lightning, like a blade. This was that moment." "You're not here for an apology," I said quietly. "You're here to put me back in my place." He didn't deny it. He didn't need to, because silence, his favorite weapon, confirmed it. Then he delivered the final blow. "You will come home tonight. You will fix this. You will apologize. Or you are no longer part of this family." Something inside me shifted, not like breaking, like a hinge unlocking. I stepped close enough that he had to tilt his head slightly to maintain eye contact. "If that's the condition," I said calmly, "then I guess I'm already gone." He froze, not with anger, with disbelief. Because for the first time in my life, the good daughter wasn't obeying. She wasn't bending. She wasn't begging. She was walking away. And he had no idea what to do with a sister who finally chose herself. Cadden didn't yell. He didn't threat. He simply stared at me with the hollow shock of someone whose worldview had been disrupted permanently. "Mom said this might happen," he murmured. "She said your ego was getting out of control." I felt nothing. No guilt, no sorrow, no guilt-induced reflex to explain myself, just a strange lightness like a rope had been cut. He paced my living room, looking around with an air of disgust, as if the modest apartment of a scientist was an embarrassment compared to the marble foyer of our childhood home. "You're really choosing to destroy the family over this? Over feelings?" "No," I said. "I'm choosing to stop letting the family destroy me." He shook his head slowly. "You're unstable, you always were," Mom said. "Stop quoting her," I snapped. He blinked, startled by the sharpness. "She's not God, Cadden. She's not perfect. She's not even fair." "She made us who we are," he insisted. "No," I corrected gently. "She made you who you are. She tried to make me disappear." He stiffened. "You're exaggerating." "Tell me," I said, stepping closer, "in the last 10 years, how many times has she praised me to your face?" He hesitated. "How many times has she shown up to something I achieved?" He swallowed. "And how many times has she used me to financially support you?" His eyes darted away. There it was, the truth he knew but never acknowledged. "You're twisting things," he whispered. "No, I'm finally untwisting them." His jaw tightened. "This is exactly why she says you're ungrateful." Ungrateful. The word tasted like ash. I looked him straight in the eyes. "Tell her," I said coldly, "I'm done being her scapegoat. Tell her I won't play the family puppet anymore." "You'll regret this," he said. "Mom always wins." I smiled, a small, tired smile, the kind people wear at funerals. "Then consider this my eulogy," I said. "Because whoever I was in that family, she's dead." He stared at me like I'd slapped him. "You don't mean that." "I do." For the first time, he looked unsure. His certainty, always inherited, never earned, wavered. "You'll come home," he whispered finally, almost pleading. "You'll calm down, you always do." "Not this time." He stood frozen in my doorway for several seconds, chest rising and falling too fast. Then he left without another word. The door clicked shut. The sound echoed through my apartment like a final judgment. I walked to the window overlooking the city. Cars moved like veins of light, buildings stood tall against the rising sun, people somewhere below carried on with their lives. My phone buzzed once. A text from an unknown number. I opened it. "Unknown, congratulations on your award. I watched everything tonight. Your family doesn't deserve you. Call me if you want support, Jay." I frowned. "Jay?" Before I could think too deeply about it, another text arrived. "Unknown, you don't know me yet, but you will. And your mother isn't the only one who wants your downfall." My breath stilled. The room felt suddenly, terrifyingly cold. The Quinn family had been my first battlefield, but it wasn't going to be the last. And the next war would be far, far darker. I stared at the text message until the words began to blur. "You don't know me yet, but you will. And your mother isn't the only one who wants your downfall." My first reaction wasn't fear, it was disbelief. Because after everything that had happened, After the public humiliation, after Cadden's ultimatum, after years of being psychologically carved open by the people meant to protect me. My mind refused to process the idea of a second enemy lurking in the shadows. But the certainty in that message, it was chilling. My hands trembled slightly as I set the phone down. I paced the length of my apartment, each step echoing too loudly in the quiet. Who was Jay? A jealous colleague. A competitor from the neonatal tech field? Another family member siding with my mother? Or something else entirely? No, not something. Someone. Someone who had watched the gala, someone who had access to my number, someone who knew enough to send a warning. My chest tightened. I needed clarity. I powered my phone back on, instantly flooded with missed calls and messages. 10 from my mother, 4 from Dad, 2 from Cadden, all of them variations of the same theme: you humiliated us. Fix this. Call back now. This family will not tolerate rebellion. I muted every thread. Then my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Don't answer it, logic whispered. I answered. A low voice. Dr. Quinn? My stomach dropped. Who is this? A faint exhale. A friend, and you don't have much time. What the hell? You're being targeted, the voice said. Not by your family, by the board that funds your research. There's a movement to discredit you, to remove you. The gala wasn't an accident. What do you mean not an accident? A pause, too long, too deliberate. Your mother wasn't supposed to explode publicly, the voice said, but someone wanted chaos around your name. Someone wanted your credibility shattered. And I've seen documents that, the call cut. Not disconnected. Cut, like someone had intercepted it. I stood in the middle of my apartment, heart racing, breath caught somewhere between panic and fury. Every instinct in me, sharpened by years of survival, knew this was bigger than family dysfunction. Someone wanted me gone, professionally, publicly, maybe worse. The next morning, I walked into the Biomedical Research Center with determination masking my dread. The hallways buzzed with fluorescent lights and clinical efficiency, but whispers followed me like shadows. 2 researchers went silent when I passed. A lab tech avoided eye contact. A board assistant closed his laptop too quickly. Something was happening, something everyone but me already knew. When I reached my office, a man in a pressed navy suit waited inside, unannounced, uninvited, sitting comfortably in my chair. Dr. Quinn, he said with a smooth smile, we need to discuss the future of your device. Cold dread seeped through my limbs. Who are you? I asked. His smile widened, calm and serpentine. My name is Jonah Hale, Senior Counsel for the Sterling Foundation. Sterling, the same organization that honored me last night, the same organization my mother humiliated me in front of. What do you want? To protect our investments, he said lightly. We can't have scandals attached to our grant recipients. Your family's outburst reflects instability, poor judgment, emotional volatility. I stared at him, stunned. You're penalizing me because my mother attacked me? Perception, he said, shrugging. Perception is reality in philanthropy. Anger rose in my throat like acid. You have 30 days, he continued, standing smoothly. Prove that your personal life won't compromise our brand, or funding will be reevaluated. Translation, do what we say or we'll destroy everything you built. As he walked past me, he paused at the door. Oh, and Alara, he said softly, don't trust anonymous friends. Not everyone who messages you is on your side. The door clicked. I locked it behind him, heart pounding in my throat. This wasn't about my mother. This wasn't even about my career. This was war. And whoever Jay was, they were right. The attack had only just begun. After Jonah left, I didn't move for nearly 10 minutes. I stood with my hands braced against the desk, breathing hard, forcing myself to stay upright. Memories of countless nights designing prototypes, every grant application, every experiment that had gone right or horribly wrong, flashed through my mind like a collapsing timeline. Everything I had built was suddenly on the brink of being dismantled, not because of scientific failure, but because of calculated sabotage. The old version of me would have broken down. I had always internalized blame like a reflex. But tonight's humiliation, last night's truth, this morning's threat, they fused into something new inside me. Resolve. A fierce, terrifying clarity. If someone wanted to erase me, I wasn't going quietly. I opened my laptop and accessed the restricted research server. There were whispers of internal audits happening, a rumor I dismissed until now. Something about compliance concerns surrounding Quinn innovations. I typed my credentials. Access denied. My stomach clenched. I tried again. Denied. Again. Denied. I leaned back slowly. Someone had locked me out, not accidentally, not bureaucratically, deliberately. A chill crept up my spine. They were moving fast, too fast for corporate protocol. Someone wanted me gone before I could understand what was happening. My office door was locked. I pulled out a secondary laptop, my private one, and accessed a secure backup of my research logs. Not the official ones. The ones I kept for myself because I'd learned long ago that in systems ruled by power, transparency was a liability. That's when I noticed something wrong. A folder I hadn't touched in months, data set 12 billion, was modified last night, at 11:14 p.m. during the gala. Impossible. My devices had been with me. No one had access. Unless they were inside the Foundation's cybersecurity team, or worse, someone with administrative clearance. I opened the folder. My throat tightened as I scrolled. Dozens of files had been altered in subtle but destructive ways, enough to raise ethical red flags, enough to imply fabrication, enough to end my career. And each file showed the same modification tag: User, J. Hale Jonah. My blood ran cold. He wasn't here to warn me. He was here to finish the job he started digitally. He was framing me. I barely noticed my hands shaking as I grabbed my phone and texted the unknown number. "Me, who are you? I need answers now." Seconds later, unknown, "You found the edits. Good, don't confront him yet, they have more planned." "Me, who is they? And what do you know about my mother's involvement?" "Unknown, your mother is a pawn. The real enemy sits above her. Meet me tonight at 9, the old observatory on Wycliffe Hill." I stared at the message. The old observatory? Abandoned for years, used only by teenagers looking for trouble. Every instinct screamed danger. But what choice did I have? I texted back, "Me, I'll be there." The next hours crawled. Every footstep outside my office made my nerves jolt. Every whisper from coworkers sounded conspiratorial. By the time the sun set, the world felt hostile, too sharp, too watchful. At 8:45 p.m., I left through the back exit of the research center and drove toward Wycliffe Hill. The observatory loomed in the darkness, a dome-shaped corpse against the sky. The wind howled through broken windows. Trees creaked like old bones. My phone buzzed. Unknown, inside. I stepped in carefully. My flashlight cut through dust and shadows. Then I saw a silhouette standing near the old control terminal. Tall, still, unfamiliar. "Who are you?" I demanded. The figure turned slowly. A man in his early 30s. Black hair, gray eyes, expression unreadable. "My name," he said, stepping into the beam of light, "is Jackson Ward." The name hit me like a memory I didn't recognize. He continued, "And I'm the one who's been protecting you since the day your device threatened a billion-dollar industry." I froze. "A billion-dollar what?" Before I could respond, he added, "And Alara, your family isn't your only enemy." He stepped closer, eyes burning with urgency. "The Foundation isn't planning to just remove you. They're planning to erase you." My pulse stopped. "Erase me? Why?" I whispered. He exhaled, a sound filled with regret. "Because your invention saves lives." His eyes hardened. "And too many people profit from letting them die." For a moment, the world tilted. Not from fear, but from comprehension. Every piece clicked into place at once. The Foundation's sudden interference. Jonah's digital sabotage. My mother's humiliating outburst, timed perfectly to coincide with the gala's media presence. Board members whispering about instability. Doors closing around me before I even realized I'd been pushed out of the room. It was never personal, it was profitable. I stared at Jackson in the dark observatory, the air smelling of rust and dust. "Explain," I demanded. He didn't hesitate. "The neonatal device you created." The early-stage prototype alone showed a projected 68% reduction in NICU dependency. That means fewer surgeries, fewer long-term hospitalizations, fewer insurance claims, billions in savings for families, but billions lost for the medical giants who profit from NICU care. My mouth went dry. I'd always known my device could transform neonatal medicine. I didn't know it threatened an entire financial ecosystem built on suffering. "Sterling Foundation funds both sides," Jackson continued. "Innovators like you and the corporations you unintentionally threaten. They funnel money into research, but they also receive enormous kickbacks from the very industries your invention could disrupt. So Jonah sabotaged my data. My voice sounded far away. To destroy credibility before my device ever reached production. He nodded. And your mother was the perfect emotional detonator. Her outburst created the instability narrative they needed. A cold, sharp ache formed beneath my ribs. So she was manipulated. In part, he said, but she also willingly played her role. They fed her a story she wanted to believe, that you were reckless, undeserving, a danger to the family name. It validated her resentment. Resentment, the oldest wolf at the door of my childhood. I swallowed hard. Why help me? Jackson hesitated, not long but enough that I noticed. Because I once worked for them, he said quietly. And I watched them ruin people who tried to change the world for the better. I couldn't stop them then. His jaw tightened. I intend to stop them now. My mind raced. If my data is corrupted, you have backups, he interrupted. But the foundation has already leaked to the press that you falsified results. They're planning to announce it tomorrow. My blood chilled. If they do, Jackson said, your career is over. And the device dies with it. A tremor built at the base of my spine. So what do? His gaze sharpened. We fight back. How? He took a step closer. We expose them before the announcement, show the real data, show their alterations, reveal their financial ties, and, he hesitated. And you confront your family. My throat tightened. Why does my family matter here? Because the foundation is preparing to use them as character witnesses. His voice was grim. Your mother is already scheduled to meet with board members tomorrow morning. My pulse jumped. To do what? I whispered. To testify that you're emotionally unstable and unfit to lead your research. A wave of nausea rolled through me. She was going to help them destroy me, voluntarily. Jackson's hand brushed the old terminal, wiping dust away. If they get her statement on record, it will justify everything they plan to do. I stepped back, breath trembling. Images flashed through my mind, her face at the gala, twisted with resentment. Cadden saying I should have handed the award to him. The years of invisibility, of dismissal, of emotional contortion. No, I said. They don't get to end me. Jackson nodded once. Then we move now. His eyes locked on mine. But Alara, when we do this, there is no going back. The truth will destroy the family you grew up in. It will end every lie they built. Are you ready for that? Silence filled the observatory. Then I answered, steady as steel. They ended our family a long time ago. His expression softened, not pity, but respect. Then let's bring everything into the light. But as we exited the observatory, the night wind whipping around us, I couldn't shake the feeling that exposing the foundation wasn't the only battle ahead. Because the deeper the truth ran, the more I sensed something else lurking beneath it. Something far more personal, and far more dangerous. Jackson and I formed a plan by sunrise. He would extract the corrupted audit logs and recover the original metadata from the Foundation's servers. I would gather my private research backups and prepare a public counter-release, data integrity proof, timestamps, peer reviews, raw experiment footage. But that wasn't the hard part. The hard part was confronting the woman who had raised me only to dismantle me. My mother was scheduled to meet Jonah and the board at 11 a.m. At 10:02, I pulled into the driveway of my childhood home, an immaculate two-story monument to discipline and denial. The air smelled like clipped grass and cold stone. My mother opened the door before I knocked. Alara, she said coolly, I don't have time for dramatics today. A familiar sentence, a familiar blade. Good, I said. I'm not here for dramatics. She stepped back slowly, assessing me with the clinical precision of a surgeon preparing to cut. Inside, everything looked the same. Spotless, symmetrical, soulless. My father sat at the dining table, newspaper unfolded. He didn't look up. Cadden leaned against the staircase railing, arms crossed. His jaw tightened the moment he saw Jackson behind me. Who's he? My colleague, I lied. Jackson remained silent, expression unreadable. My mother folded her arms. Say what you came to say, quickly. I stared at her. Really stared. At the woman who taught me to shrink, to submit, to bury my brilliance so it wouldn't cast shadows on her favored son. At the woman who believed motherhood was ownership, not responsibility. You're meeting with the Foundation today, I said. Her eyes sharpened with surprise and guilt she tried to mask. It's confidential, she said. How did you? I know everything, Mom. Her lips parted. I know Jonah sabotaged my research data. I know they want to remove me. I know they plan to use you as a witness against me. Silence. Then, you shouldn't have embarrassed us at the gala, she snapped. Actions have consequences. My actions? My voice cracked with something raw. Or yours? Her nostrils flared. You were unstable, emotional, disrespectful. What else were they supposed to think? I stepped closer. What else were you supposed to think? Someone fed you a narrative and you accepted it eagerly because it made sense to you, because it justified your resentment. Cadden pushed off the railing. Don't talk to her like that. This doesn't involve you, I hissed. He froze at the venom in my tone. My mother's eyes narrowed. You always twist things, always make yourself the victim. I'm not the victim, I said, voice steady. I'm the threat, she faltered. Good. For years, you made me feel small, I continued. But you never asked why I kept succeeding anyway, because despite you, not because of you. Her face stiffened. If you testify today, I said, stepping so close I could see her pulse jump, you won't just help destroy my career. You will expose yourself. Because when we release the evidence, your involvement will be part of the narrative. Her expression cracked. You wouldn't, she whispered. I would, I said. I will. Cadden stepped between us. Stop threatening our mother. I turned to him. You think she protected you? She used you. She weaponized your brilliance to punish me. That's not true. It is, Jackson suddenly said, stepping forward. All eyes turned to him. I worked inside the foundation, he said. Your mother volunteered information that could be used against Alara. Some of it exaggerated, some of it false. My mother's face drained of color. How dare you? How dare you? I cut in. I built a device that saves lives. You're trying to bury it because you can't bear the idea that I succeeded without your permission. The room pulsed with tension. Then my mother whispered something brittle. I'm doing what's best for this family. No, I said. You're doing what's best for your pride. She didn't deny it, didn't blink, didn't breathe. I took one final step back. If you testify against me today, you lose me forever. Her silence was the answer. I left the house, without looking back. As we reached the car, Jackson said quietly, she made her choice. I nodded, but the truth was heavier. I finally believed her choice had never included me in the first place. By 3 p.m., the boardroom at the Sterling Foundation buzzed with tension thick enough to slice. Journalists waited outside for the press briefing, where Jonah planned to announce that fraud had been discovered in my research. A career execution, a public burial, but not today. Because today, I wasn't walking in as the obedient daughter or scapegoated genius. I was walking in armed with truth and rage that had finally found direction. Jackson and I entered the boardroom together. Jonah stood at the head of the long table, hands clasped like a benevolent dictator. Dr. Quinn, he said, smiling thinly, you weren't invited to this meeting. Then you should have locked the door, I replied. Murmurs rippled across the room. My mother sat 3 seats down, back straight, expression iced over. Cadden sat beside her, less confident than usual. Jonah cleared his throat. Regardless, the foundation has decided. Before you say another word, I interrupted, I'd like to introduce evidence. Board members stiffened. Jonah's smile wavered. I opened the laptop on the table, projecting the screen onto the wall. Folder after folder of corrupted data appeared, each tagged with, modified by, J-Hale gasps erupted. I zoomed in on timestamps. Here, I said, voice steady as steel, you can see that my files were altered by Jonah during the gala. Not only did he fabricate inconsistencies, he attempted to erase original metadata. One board member stood abruptly. Is this true, Hale? Jonah's face flushed. This is absurd. These files could have been. Before you deny it, I said, clicking again, here is the administrative access log. Jackson had decrypted it hours ago. The screen displayed, user, J-Hale action, override purpose, data elimination. A silence fell so thick it felt suffocating. Jonah opened his mouth, but I wasn't done. This sabotage wasn't random, I continued. It was motivated. I clicked again. Financial documents loaded onto the screen, foundation transactions, corporate partnerships, funding streams. Billions flowing into industries threatened by my device. You plan to destroy my credibility, I said, so my device wouldn't damage your profits. A board member whispered, oh my God, Jonah snapped. This is being misconstrued. No, I said sharply. This is being exposed. I turned to my mother. You were scheduled to testify that I'm unstable. Her composure cracked for the first time. But instability is not a diagnosis, I said quietly. It's a stereotype convenient for silencing women who refuse to bend. The board members looked at her, really looked at her. She flinched. Cadden swallowed hard. Jonah's voice rose. Dr. Quinn has clearly become emotional. Stop calling me emotional, I said, voice rising, not shaky, not afraid, but commanding. You tried to erase me. I stepped toward Jonah. And now you'll answer for it. Security moved in. Jonah panicked. This is a mistake, you can't. But the CEO of the foundation stood. You're suspended pending investigation. Effective immediately. Jonah reached for something, maybe his phone, but security grabbed his arms and escorted him out. The moment the door slammed shut, the pressure in the room shifted. The CEO turned to me. Dr. Quinn, we owe you an apology and a reinstatement. I nodded, but my eyes were on my mother. She stood slowly, trembling, her mask cracking. Elara, she whispered. I didn't know. Yes, I said softly, you did. You just didn't care. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Cadden lowered his gaze. The family that once towered over me now crumbled in silence. Later, outside the building, the air smelled like rain and electricity. Jackson stood beside me. You did it, he said quietly. No, I said, we did it. He looked at me, really looked. You know this isn't over, he said. When you expose a machine this big, it comes back harder. I nodded. I'm ready, he exhaled, almost smiling. Good, because Jonah wasn't the architect, he was just a pawn. I turned sharply. Then who is the architect? Jackson's expression darkened. That, he said, is what we find next. Thunder rumbled overhead, and just like that, my family war had ended. But a far more dangerous one had just begun.